Well, I guess you guys have a pretty long history with this Gathering of the Eagles outfit. That it was some years ago that you guys were making things happen in your area. I think it was called the Gathering of Eagles or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spiritual unity of the world then slash tribes, but
Uh,
gathering of eagles kind of added on later.
uh-huh.
But we were fortunate to go up to Canada and meet with the individuals up there, and we've had a little more information now about the history and then how we came to be involved. So
yeah, yeah. You know, it's the gatherings. On another level, they have been a part of our lives for since 1988, and when it was first brought to our, um, we were made aware. So
Mhm.
by saying that, uh, all that we have done, either in the Black Hills or in other parts of the world, that's been our life. I mean, on that level of supporting that dream of the elder from Pasqua Reserve in Canada, and so it's a Juanita has done a lot more research on that level, so to speak, um, of what she has found out and what we agreed to oh so long ago. Seems like a lifetime ago, but that's our life. I mean, it's not solely, of course, what all we have done, but it has been very much a key part of making of relations in all parts of the world. So, or a number of parts of the world. So, yeah.
well, and I think your Sundance family, so the Sundance family, and then of course the work that you did, Ben, as with the World Archaeology Congress.
Yeah.
So we have been blessed with just a kind of, it sounds a lot like you, Rainbow. You've been blessed with meeting people all over the world, and that's kind of a bounty.
So a part of my vision, even though that technically we have this opportunity, is to visit with you guys. I guess you're elders, okay? I have to first
Yeah,
qualify.
I think so. Yeah.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm in that place where I can now, sit at home and still be able to try to bring some elderly comments about how to deal with life. And that's what the um, Gathering of the Eagles, the Clay and Mary Ellen, they kind of opened the door to be able to fulfill a part of my vision, and that's to get around and visit and see if there's some things that can be put forth to the public today. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm just a regular old Choctaw. My father was a full blood, married a fine white Christian lady, and so us kids came out with half this and everything. But I am within my vision of being able to see what is it that the elders can help people with some ideas about how to look at life, because we are in that place where it's kind of uncomfortable. I thought, well, all I could do is just kind of get around and have classes and teach and things. But now people are saying, what do you think about? Or what's your advice? What's your opinion? Well, I'm working on that myself. So I thought
Yeah, they don't often understand that's the journey. That's the lifelong, what's it all about? Where are we going? Yeah,
Yep, that's
it's a
right.
journey.
And Ben, so that's what I'm hoping to be able to do. I've got an opening to be able to put together a small or something, a video that we can put with the Gathering of Eagles people.
I'm sitting in my abode in Wisconsin, and you know, I think there's a with what you're kind of saying as far as vision, as to what you were mentioning of what we can give to the future generations yet, and or those already born,
Mm-hmm.
the younger people. And that was the what was agreed upon by elderly and medicine people in Canada who came from Alaska. They came from the States. But they gathered at Pasquak, at Fort Capel, and generated the seven principles that we should work, or not principles, the seven banes uh, of society upon society. Or the gatherings were designed to address those prejudices
Mm.
by people's thoughts, their opinions, their view of the world, the conditions, and etc. But those prejudices were to be the theme, I guess you would call it, the
Mm.
thematic of the gathering's purpose. And so, but always with a sacred fire lit
Mm-hmm.
on the first morning at dawn, and then allowed to die down with no more wood being put on in the afternoon of the fourth day.
Ah,
And
ah.
it was continuously monitored. There was no times that there was not someone there, a keeper, firekeeper watching over it, and nothing was allowed to be placed in it that did not belong.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
other words, no trash, no cigarette butts, no nothing like that. It was kept as a sacred, and it was fed, it was prayed with um, on that first morning, and
Hmm.
thanks were given on the fourth day evening. Now that in and of itself is a teaching
Mm-hmm.
for everyone, for not just us as native or non-native here in this land, but for everyone in the world, because
So
we
Ben,
all use that
Ben,
gift.
how can we keep the fire going now with people? We're in that place where people need a little help with the fire that is kind of going out with them. Because that's a good symbolism of being able to keep that fire going somehow. How is it that we can keep the spiritual fire going with people? I'm just kind of lost at words as to what to tell people sometime.
Well, the fire that we are near, that if it is in physical form, you know, every human culture that I know of over the world and have been involved with and around, and it's a human thing. In our humanity, when we come near a fire, we sit and we gaze into it. Now, the symbolism is there of that warmth, of that light, of that heat, warmth. It's what it provides for us, and yet it is ephemeral. In other words, it doesn't last forever. But you have those moments of peace when you sit by that fire. And what we encourage for the world, or each time we have a gathering, at the very last, we always encourage for people to remember their time at that fire, to remember the words that were spoken, the stories that were told, and what did they gain from them? What did you receive? And that is yours. That's for your personal thoughts, your personal awareness, your personal understanding. It's not something that, or you may share at a later time, but it always takes time. And we encourage that with our young. Take those things that were given to you by other people. They may be elderly or they may not.
Yeah.
I've heard wisdom from young that is totally surprising, astounding. And so we encourage this because in the stories and the relating by people, they're telling you from their heart, and that's what we encourage.
Yeah.
Not the mind, the heart. Because the mind will add on, take away from, forget. But the heart, when it is expressed from that place within us, that spirit, that place of spirit, that each person then can relate from a truth of their own. And they have to own that truth then from their own. So it's up to them to take those thoughts, those words, and to live the next 6 months, 10 months, 2 years, whatever, until they return to that fire again. Wherever that fire may be lit, and they may come to it and sit with it again. And ultimately, in that, it is taking responsibility for who you are, what you do with your hands, what you do with your mind, what you do with your words, what you do with your spirit. It's up to you. And so many people want to belong to something where they can have an excuse. They want to have an excuse to, well, this is what we did. This is how my group does this, my clique, my organization, whatever. Well, if that's not going where it needs to go, and yet you have joined in and become part of it, where it's making a mistake or going in a direction that you are not comfortable with, then you should step away from it. We encourage that. Because in the end, you're going to be held responsible for what you did and did not do with the gifts that you were given. And so your talents and things that you use those hands for, those words for, those deeds that you did or did not do. So you're going to be held to accountability. Your grandfathers and grandmothers are the ones that prayed for you to come into being. Now, can we do no less for our unborn? So ultimately, it comes down to two things. One is individual responsibility, and then responsibility of the collective to one another. The philosophy, per se, of the gathering of eagles. Because each eagle, when you think about it, and we create the metaphors at that fire, each eagle flies alone, but yet It is part of something else greater. And so are we. So how is it that people, we encourage people to look at this and to think about it and for their own individual journey, but yet they're part of humanity.
Hmm.
So tribes all over the world recognize that kind of thinking. They have no they have no other way that they can think, because we as tribal people, we've been part of this earth for millenniums, and we learn from the mistakes, quote, of our past, individual and collective.
We've been really blessed to travel and visit people, and they will tell us that those gatherings, if they only came once or if they've become someone who comes to all of them, they tell us it changed my life. And so as Ben was talking a little bit, I was thinking, yeah, that whole idea of going to a gathering, experiencing people sitting in a circle from all different walks of life and getting along. We always felt so our children grew up in those gatherings. Basically, that was their growing up time when we were being the coordinators for the gatherings in the United States. Ben mentioned taking the ash from the fire, having something to help you remember. I mean, that always, I sometimes will ask a stone if I can take it, and I'll get a feeling of, no, gotta leave that one there, or, oh, no, I can take this one. It wants to go along. I'll sometimes do that. And lately I've had to start writing on the bottom of them where they came from, because otherwise I forget.
Yeah.
But I have stones that I have found in different places, especially that are heart-shaped. So that's my way of making a connection. And so people take that ash from the fire and they have that and they make that connection. But what they've gained is this opportunity to sit with a group of people who are like-minded. I think what they're saying when they leave is, number one, they don't want to leave. They want life to be like that. Number two, they have a sense of, I want the world to be like this. I would like to see this in my world, in my, like the safety that we always felt. We just pretty much let our kids run amok. I mean,
yeah, okay.
People would say, oh, I love your children. They came and had lunch with us. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, well, thank you for feeding them. And that's what would happen. They felt very safe there at the gatherings. So wouldn't that be a wonderful thing if we could let our children run amok? And I don't mean that literally, but
I know that.
Go from camp to camp, house to house, and be safe.
Let's catch Ben a little bit here, so he feels like he's a part of everything. Okay, Ben, hello again.
Yeah.
As usual, Juanita's been talking about you, so you better take up for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of I'm kind of cooking too, because I
oh, you are
just had a little bit of cereal this morning, and that's I'm kind of getting kind of hungry. But yeah, this awareness that people, as you get older, and if you've been around a lot of people in your life, you notice certain things about them. You notice what my uncle Yellow Horse used to talk about. He was from Cherry Creek on the Cheyenne River Reservation, and but he used to talk about, everyone has a certain movement, and if you watch, you begin to see that we all do. And I don't care where you're at in the world. I've been all over it, looking at different cultures and people. But where I'm going with that is that people look at, or they come in with a certain demeanor. They come in either truthfully being truthful with themselves that they want something different, or they come in to make a judgment. In other words, to judge whatever it is that they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's generally one of those two things.
Mm.
Why I'm saying that is because we've actually had people stand at the fire when they were speaking, and they would say, I am withholding judgment of what I am here for. And they use that word, judgment. Ah, well, that it's okay to use, but the other side of it is that, as Juanita was saying, there are a greater amount of those who have attended who come and are open. You can call it open. They're willing to receive, not be in judgment of, or forming some type of adverse opinion or whatever. They're there to because they want something different in their life.
Yeah.
And whatever that may be encapsulated in the forum of the fire, with the fire and people speaking,